Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be doing a guide for Bohemia for EU4 1.34 Lions of the North. So Bohemia is a nation that starts off in the HRE, and we do start off as an elector, and we're probably the second most powerful nation in the HRE after Austria. Bohemia has some really nice national ideas. We start off with minus 10% advisor cost and plus 10% imperial authority growth. As a finisher, we have plus 1 land leader fire, then we have plus 3 tolerance of heretics, yearly legitimacy, infantry combat, and shock damage received, national unrest, tech discount, stab discount, a cost of advisors with ruler's culture minus 25%. Bohemia has an awesome mission tree that gives us subjugation CBs on Brandenburg and Saxony, which will enable us to control the HRE very easily, and will also be able to secure a PU over Hungary and Poland, and potentially Lithuania and everyone else that Poland gets, along with even the Burgundian inheritance. But even with all of this, I do think Bohemia is a slightly underrated nation, at least compared to its neighbors like Austria, Hungary, Poland, and even Brandenburg. But by watching this guide, you will have an easy and fun campaign, become the emperor, PU everyone, and dominate the entirety of Europe in no time. And before we begin, if you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like, it really helps out a lot. And if you like the video and want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of them. Let's take a look at what we need to do as Bohemia. Alright, here we are as Bohemia, and as you know right at the start, we can't declare any wars because we're in an interregnum, so we need to wait for that event where we basically gain a ruler. And we also start off with a truce with Hungary, so we can't fight them right off the bat either. Interestingly enough, Bohemia also starts off with some Hussite provinces, which I do recommend converting because we are going to be staying Catholic for this playthrough. And basically, even if you go Hussite, this guide is pretty much going to be the same, except you're not going to be doing the HRE stuff. But I do think the proper way, sort of, to play Bohemia is by staying Catholic. Of course, you could go Hussite as well. Now, the first thing when you start up the game is you're going to want to check and see if Austria has not rivaled you, and if you're not rivaled, then you're good to go, and you can go ahead and get some friendly relations with them. So that's the only requirement, check to see if Austria isn't rivaled. But before that, we're going to go into our estates and summon the Diet. You can pick whichever agenda is best for you. Then we're going to give the clergy religious state and clerical advisory council, along with religious diplomats and enforced unity of faith. Then we're going to give the nobility primacy of the nobility, increased levies, and aristocratic councilors, and we're going to give the burghers land of commerce, patronage of the arts, commercial advisory board, and indebted to the burghers. Then we're going to seize land. Next, we need to sort of kickstart our mission tree by doing this mission right here. But as you'll know, to complete this mission, we need to actually integrate our subjects, which we won't be able to do for 10 years. So that's why we're sort of going to skip past our mission tree to accomplish this mission right here, where we need to own Nitra. So that's why we're going to fight Hungary before we even get to that mission. But first, we're going to go ahead and set some rivals. The nations you're going to want to rival are Hungary, Poland, and then whichever other nation you want, like the Teutonic Order. Next, we're going to go ahead and hire some advisors. Get whichever level 1 admin advisor you want. I'm going to get this unrest guy. Get a missionary strength guy if you have one, preferably. Get a diplo rep or improve relations level 1 dip advisor. I do have a diplo rep guy. And then get a morale, discipline, or manpower level 1 mil advisor. I do have a discipline guy right here. Next, I'm going to take this decision because I have a national unrest guy. And you can immediately go ahead and start converting some of your provinces. Now it's time for some alliances, and we're gonna want to get friendly with Austria real quick, so that's why you should send them a royal marriage. If you can't, start improving relations with them, and then you'll be able to ally them. And there we go. Now that I've royal married them, and after I improve with them a bit, I'll be able to ally them as well. Next, I recommend allying 3 more electors, but not Brandenburg. So go for someone like the Palatinate, for example, and you can then get Cologne, and maybe Trier, Mainz, someone like that you're not gonna fight. Try to not ally Saxony or Brandenburg. And then with this free diplomat right here, we're gonna start improving relations with our own subjects. Now it's time to let a couple of days go by, ally every other elector, and then look for other alliances as well. We are going to attempt to also ally the Pope, and later, because we're going to break our alliance with Austria, we're going to try and get friendly with France and the Ottomans. It should be pretty simple for us to ally the Ottomans as Bohemia. At this point, since we're not going to be fighting any wars for the next 5 years, you can go ahead and turn off your forts and lower army maintenance to save some money. When you get the compacts of Basel, if you're going Hussite, choose this first option. If you're going Catholic, which you should according to this guide, choose the second option. Now about a month has passed, I have allied 3 electors, Cologne, Trier, and the Palatinate, and I've also allied the Pope, and I'm royal married with Austria. Your relations should look a little something like this too. At this point, I'm improving relations with my subjects, with Austria so I can ally them, and now I'm gonna start spying on Hungary. As you all know, Austria and Hungary do ally each other quite often, but by us allying Austria and by us being rival to Hungary, we should be able to prevent that alliance from happening. At this point, you can also build 3 more infantry regiments. And there we go, after about a year of improving relations, I can also ally Austria. And I can get a claim on this one Hungarian province. Now, you can tell another diplomat to improve relations with your own subjects and another one to improve with allies. And at this point, after we've gotten these alliances in order, so Austria, the Pope, and the 3 other electors, it doesn't matter who they are, but not Saxony and Brandenburg, we're waiting for the event where we gain a ruler and for the truce with Hungary to expire. If so far everything has gone according to plan, Austria shouldn't have allied Hungary. At this point, your first province will have probably already been converted. You can go ahead and keep converting. You can also activate the Enforced Religious Unity State Edict to make conversion a little quicker. At this point, I've improved with both of my subjects up to 200, so with all 3 diplomats, I'm improving relations with my 3 elector allies. You should be doing the same. At this point, because I am making money, I have hired a level 2 admin advisor only because he's a missionary strength guy. This will help me convert these provinces faster, and we're still making money, so it's not a problem. If you have an opportunity for something like this, then you can definitely go for it if you want to, although this isn't necessary. Once you get your manpower back up a little bit from the start, you can go ahead and build 4 more infantry regiments, basically up to force limit. And this is pretty much the event that we were waiting for, Return of the Hussites. Ideally, you'd get this event before your truce with Hungary runs out. In my case, that hasn't happened, but of course we have the first option right here where we gain Yuri. He's a 543 and Hussite becomes our new state religion. Of course, if you're following this guide, you're not gonna want to choose this first option. If you're staying Hussite, definitely do choose this first option, but for the purposes of this guide, we are going to select the second option right here, where we do gain Yuri as a ruler, but we do not become Hussite, we remain Catholic, and instead we do lose 100 papal influence, but we do gain infantry combat ability, plus 10%, minus 1 diplo rep, and minus 5 yearly papal influence while he's alive. So the Pope isn't really gonna like us while this guy is in charge, but that's not a big deal. Of course, you should select this middle option right here, let the region follow Hus, the nation follows Rome. And boom, just like that, we lose some prestige and we gain those positive and negative modifiers, and we do have a ruler, so we're good to kickstart our campaign. You can then take this mission, Hussite Regency, right here. And it's time to get ready for our first war. So increase army maintenance, raise your forts, and go ahead and recruit a general and get ready for your first war, which is gonna be versus Hungary. Once you do get a ruler, you should start voting for yourself. And at that point, you will probably be able to take the mission Imperial Ambition, which gives us a diplomat and plus 25% improved relations for 15 years, along with 10 prestige. Do take it. At this point, because we are voting for ourselves and because we have 3 elector allies, which will also vote for us, as soon as Frederick III here dies, we will become the HRE Emperor. Of course, you're not going to be doing this if you went Hussite. And once you're ready, immediately go ahead and declare on Hungary. They shouldn't have any strong allies. If they've unfortunately allied Austria, that's pretty bad. But if you allied them and rivaled Hungary, that shouldn't have happened. So simply go ahead and declare on Hungary. You and your vassals can do this by yourself. If you want to, you can call in some allies. I am going to call in the Palatinate and the Pope to make this war a little easier and faster. And just like that, that's your first war started. And you should aim to wrap this war up with Hungary, ideally before 1454, when Ladislaus Posthumous here has his 15th birthday. And once you get around 70 to 80% war score versus Hungary, you're good to peace out. And in this first war versus Hungary, here's what you're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and take the entire state of Slovakia right here, and we're also gonna humiliate them. Then you can take war reps, you can take money if you want to. I am gonna take war reps. And that's our first war done. At this point, we have the entire state of Slovakia, and ideally you did it before Ladislaus Posthumous turned 15, which in my case, it seems that he has actually died. But obviously, even though he has died in my campaign, you know what I'm getting at. Basically, when he becomes of age, Hungary can choose whether to remain independent and keep him as the ruler, or to become a junior partner under Austria. Now, because later we are going to be PUing Hungary, if Hungary chooses to become a junior partner under Austria, we are going to have to fight Austria to make them let go of Hungary and then PU them. However, if they don't choose to be a junior partner under Austria, or if he just dies, like in my case right here, well then, you're going to have no problem with that. Either way, our first war is now done. It's time to go back home, and probably by this point, annex both of our subjects Glogau and Opole. By this point, the Renaissance has probably spawned, and you probably have Tech 4 in every category. And if you watch my other guides, you do know that I do recommend deving your capital up to 30 to help speed up the spawning of the Renaissance and to tick off the age objective for a high dev capital. But we aren't going to be doing that in this case because that is going to make it harder for us to convert Prague. Instead, what we're going to do is activate the Encourage Development State Edict in this state right here and dev the province of Cheb up to 10 production to increase our income from gold, because we do start off with a gold mine and now we have another one as well. And then once we dev these 2 gold mines up to 10, we're also going to dev this province up to 20 total development so we can start producing gems instead of glass. We do also have a mission to do that right here. So don't dev Prague, instead dev this province, and this province. Once you get to November 1454, you can go ahead and give the nobility integration policy, which is right here, so we don't get a penalty when we annex our subjects, and then you can go ahead and start annexing both of your subjects at once. By this point, you're probably at your tier 2 government reform as well, but don't take anything just yet if you've given out the nobility integration policy, because this is gonna make the nobles way too influential. So let's first wait to annex our subjects, and then we're gonna be going for strengthened noble privileges. Hey, Red Hawk here from the editing workstation. Now, even though obviously I said we're gonna take strengthened noble privileges, and as you'll see later, I do take that in my case right here. I recommend that slightly more if you're not going for the emperorship and if you're Hussite. However, even though I choose it in my guide right here, I did make a mistake, and you should definitely go for curtail noble privileges, so for the TAC, or a noble officer core right here for the yearly army tradition and stuff like that. Those two are better if you're going for the emperorship and staying Catholic. If you're going Hussite, strengthen noble privileges. Don't take Tech 5 before you get the Renaissance. And of course, once you core up the state of Slovakia, you should go ahead and full state it. And there we go. Once you've annexed both of your initial subjects, the nobility integration policy will go away, and you can go ahead and take strength and noble privileges for your tier 2 government reform. Additionally, when this is done right here, you should go ahead and state up Silesia. I have already done that. And you will be able to take the mission Integrate Silesia, which gives you plus 15% improved relations and a permaclaim on Slovakia, which we already have. But do go ahead and take that mission. More importantly, after we're done with that, and after we've taken Slovakia, we will be able to take 2 other missions. Conquer Nitra, which gives us a restoration of Union CB on Hungary if they're independent. If they're in a junior partnership with Austria, it will just give you claims. So that's why, if they are a junior partner, we will want to release them first. And then Polish Diplomacy, which gives us a restoration of Union CB on Poland. Don't take either of these missions just yet. And by the way, first, we're going to be PUing Poland and hopefully Lithuania as well, which in my case they do have. First, before taking these missions, you're going to want to check and see the situation. Go ahead and look at your aggressive expansion. Is it pretty high? Could a coalition form? Go ahead and check out Poland's alliances. Who are they allied to? How strong are they? How many troops do they have? Who would help you in a war versus them? Only after you're sure you can defeat Poland, then you're gonna take this mission right here to gain the CB on them, and then go ahead and fight them. In my case, Cologne and Trier would help, but they do look like they're pretty powerful themselves, so I'm gonna wait and see if someone else will help me, like the Pope, the Palatinate, and Austria as well. So don't take either of these missions just yet. Start preparing for your war with Poland though. At this point, if you can, you should do the following. Ally and Royal Mary Burgundy to increase your chances of getting the Burgundian succession. Of course, you will already be eligible once you're the Emperor, but why not increase our chances in case we don't become the Emperor by that point. Of course, as always, make sure that you send a royal marriage offer to Burgundy and not accept theirs. Once you tech up and it's time to take your first idea as Bohemia, for our game right here, the best idea group you can open up with is Diplomatic Ideas. This will help us keep a hold of our PUs, but it will also help us remain the HRE Emperor, ally more powerful nations to help us take down even more powerful nations, and basically it's a no-brainer as an opener. So Diplomatic Ideas for your first idea group. Once you get to around the 1460s, make sure to lower autonomy as well. During all this point, it has been increasing, so we do need to bring it back down. At this point, I can see that Poland is wrapped up in 2 other wars and fighting some other nations right here. So at this point, even though Austria wouldn't help me fight Poland and Lithuania, I do feel like I am strong enough to take them on and enforce my PU over them. So now, because I'm ready, I will be taking this mission, which gives me a restoration of Union CB on Poland. Speaking of missions, at this point, when you've embraced the Renaissance, you might get yourself on the Great Powers list and have Austria not be on it, which will enable us to take this mission right here, where we either need to humiliate Austria or have us be a great power and them not be a great power for us to complete. This mission gives us a subjugation CB on Brandenburg. Don't take it just yet. We will be able to take it later again once we PU Poland and Lithuania, because we'll be a great power either way and Austria won't be one either way. So just take the mission Polish diplomacy, even if you can take this one and this one, save them for later, and then get ready to declare on Poland whenever you can. For this war versus Poland, I'm also going to hire the Free Company to help me siege. And just to show you guys, by this point I have devved the gold mine Cheb up to 10 production, and I have devved this province over here more than 20 total dev. So I can go ahead and turn off the encourage development state edict right here and instead activate it right here, because then I'm going to be devving this province up to 10 production as well, our second gold mine pretty much. Either way, with all of that out of the way, now I am going to declare my restoration of union war on Poland and go ahead and PU them and bring their subjects along, which are Danzig, Moldavia, and Lithuania in as well. I am going to call in Köln, the Palatinate, and Trier. It can be done without a big power's help. This war shouldn't be too difficult. A good time to also declare on Poland is when you have a Miltech over them, like it is the case in my situation right here. I'm Miltech 5, therefore will easily be able to crush their armies. And once you get around 50 to 60% war score versus Poland, you're good to go ahead and peace out. And what you are going to do is select the union with Poland option right here, and then take as much money as you can. I can take about 403 ducats up to 73% war score. And don't worry about the aggressive expansion. The only nation we fought so far is Hungary, so A really shouldn't be a problem, and you shouldn't be getting any coalitions. Of course, you are going to get Poland. If you're lucky, you're also going to get Moldavia, Danzig, and Lithuania, like it is the situation in my game right here. And it's probably going to be like this in your game too, since Poland chooses Lithuania more often than not. So, union with Poland, all of their money, and that's your war with Poland done. At this point, you should have Poland and Lithuania as junior partners. Lithuania should like you immediately. Poland is probably going to hate you, and you're going to have to improve with them. And there we can see the opinion is the only thing that matters. We don't really care about their liberty desire. They're not going to break free. But once this war is done, start improving with both of these guys immediately. We don't want this guy right here dying and them breaking free. But now that we've secured our union over Poland and over Lithuania, it's time to go back home and chill and dev a bit before focusing on future unions and subjugations of other electors as well. Once you do PU Poland, you should be able to take the mission Shemshilit Heritage, which gives us mill power and permaclaims on certain areas up here. These areas to be exact. Something interesting that's happened in my game right here is Hungary has allied France, which of course would make it extremely difficult to fight them. This is not a common alliance that you can expect, and even though me and my subjects could easily take on Hungary and France, at this point I am gonna attempt to ally the Ottomans, something that is pretty easy for Bohemia to do in order for them to help me fight Hungary and France. After PUing Poland and their subjects, the next nation we're gonna want to subjugate is Hungary. Even though it would be easier to take on Brandenburg and Saxony through this branch right here, we actually do want to focus on Hungary because there is a risk that they get beaten up by other nations, like Austria and the Ottomans. So we want to wrap that up and then move on in the HRE. Brandenburg and Saxony, they aren't gonna go anywhere, whereas Hungary might. Of course, during this point, I haven't only been deving and PUing nations and fighting nations and stuff like that. I've been also constructing some buildings, and you should have been doing the same because you will have no shortage of money as Bohemia. I've already built up marketplaces in all the center of trade provinces. Now I'm working on building production buildings, especially in this one province right here, so we can unlock a mission, and then we're gonna get some army buildings, maybe some churches going as well, upgrade some centers of trade. You already know the drill and how to make money. For your first stage ability, you should of course take Justified Wars. And at this point, the original Austrian Emperor just died, and of course I have been elected HRE Emperor, something that will happen in your game as well, because you yourself are an elector, you've been voting for yourself, and we've allied 3 other electors, in my game, the Palatinate, Trier, and Köln, and they all voted for me. So, as soon as the first Austrian Emperor dies, you will become the HRE Emperor. You already know what to do when you're the HRE Emperor, you know the bonuses we get, and if you want to, you can attempt to pass some reforms right here, get the Reformation under control later, do the regular HRE stuff, because Bohemia is sort of poised to be the HRE Emperor thanks to our mission tree, national ideas, and the monument that we have right here, which gives us some very nice imperial authority growth. Or you don't have to focus on any of this, and you can just take advantage of the regular bonuses that you get with being Emperor. It's totally up to you whether you want to focus on this or not, but being the HRE Emperor is always a great bonus. After you do become the HRE Emperor, you should be able to take Charlemagne's Legacy for some more Diplo rep. At this point, I've also finished deving this province up to 10 development in production, which means it's at the optimal level for gold, the same situation here with Cheb, and like I said previously, we've devved this up to more than 20. Once you do dev this up more than 20, and once you get a workshop going over there, you will be able to take the mission Bohemian Crystal, where this event happens and we gain some prestige. Basically, the price of glass gets changed by 25% until the end of the game, and we gain production and tax in that province as well. Unfortunately, I already produced gems right there since faceting spawned, so, you know, it would have been better if I spawned faceting right here, but it doesn't matter too much. You gain some nice bonuses either way. And there we go. At this point, I can ally the Ottomans. If Austria or the Ottomans threaten to break their alliance with me, I would remain friendly with the Ottomans for now. For tier 3 government reform, you can go centralized monarchical bureaucracy. You already know the benefits. You could go expanded royal court for some reform progress growth to help us blaze through this quicker, or you could even go for decentralized bureaucracy for the max promoted cultures. We will have quite a few cultures to promote right here since our culture group is so small, the West Slavic one, but it's totally up to you. I'm gonna go for expanded royal court. At this point, while you're chilling and waiting for aggressive expansion to die down from PUing Poland, if Hungary is under a junior partnership under Austria, you should go ahead and fight Austria. With the Ottomans' help, of course, it will be very easy for you to ally them and make Austria let go of Hungary. Then we'll wait for that truce to expire, then we'll PU them. If not, however, if they're not a junior partner under Austria, you're just waiting around a little bit for aggressive expansion to die down a little bit more. Don't fight any other nations during this point after you've PU'd Poland. There's really no need. At this point, all the way in 1476, I have finally converted Prague over to Catholic by enacting various edicts, getting a missionary strength guy, you know, giving the clergy that one privilege which isn't available now for missionary strength. And at this point, once you do that as well, you will be able to take the mission Hussite Resurgence, which you should do. At that point, you will probably be able to take the mission Time for a Catholic Emperor to turn your ruler Catholic, but if it's still your original guy, there's totally no need. Once you hit Admin Deck 7, it will be time for your second idea group. And of course, if you're focusing on the HRE and passing reforms and keeping the entire HRE Catholic, removing the Reformation once it spawns, then for your second idea group, you should take religious. If, however, you don't really care about passing reforms, you don't care what religion the HRE is, the Protestant Reformation doesn't bother your gameplay, then you can go with a money-making idea for your second idea group like economic, or a military idea group to buff up your army like offensive or defensive. You don't really need quality right now, you don't have boats. Of course, you could lean into the infantry combat even more, and you don't need quantity at all because you're the emperor. So, religious if you're going HRE, economic if you want to make money, offensive or defensive, preferably offensive if you want to bump up your army. Since I don't really care about passing reforms in this playthrough right here, I am gonna go with economic, since I will have my subjects do my bidding as well, and I won't really need that powerful army. So economic for my second idea group. Now that aggressive expansion has died down a little bit in my game, I'll be declaring my war on Hungary to PU them. Of course, you'll be doing the same if they're independent. If not, make Austria let them go. And now is when I'll take the mission Conquer Nitra, because now I want that restoration of Union CB. Boom, just like that. And now I am gonna go ahead and declare that war on Hungary, call in the Ottomans and Burgundy and Cologne to help me deal with France mainly. Hopefully in your game, they won't have any strong allies and they'll be just allied to some HRE minors like they usually are. Once you're ready, go ahead and PU Hungary. I'm gonna peace out France and make them give me all of their money and war reps. If you want to, if you end up fighting these guys, if you're not allied to them in fact, for them to help you fight Austria, you can make them pop out some nations, like we did in the Austria guide. And of course, once you're ready, you're simply gonna go ahead and enforce your union over Hungary and take all of their money. Once again, this is quite a lot of AE, but once again, a coalition shouldn't form because we haven't really been fighting any other nations. And that's your war with Hungary done. By this point, you have Poland and Hungary as junior partners for sure, and you may have gotten to some of the nations that Poland and Hungary like to subjugate themselves. Now it's time to once again chill a bit, focus on deving up our nation and building buildings, maybe do some emperor stuff if you can and if you want to, and after that, we're gonna follow along with this branch right here, where we're gonna subjugate Brandenburg and Saxony. But we do need to wait for aggressive expansion to lower first. After you PU Hungary, you will be able to take the mission Hungarian Union, which gives us some fort-related discounts and claims on Austria proper, which is this area right here. You can go ahead and take it. After you've subjugated Hungary and Poland, if you can't take the mission Protect Against the Turks, make sure to construct an additional fort or two, however many you need, in one of your subjects' provinces that are currently highlighted on the screen. Basically, if you don't have 5 forts in Carpathia, build some for Hungary and Poland. At this point, the Ottomans broke their alliance with me. It's really not a big deal. I've used them to my advantage, and now I don't need them anymore. At this point, I can pass my first reform. For some of you, Austria may have already passed reforms. If you're focusing on this, then that's great. If you're not, this is just a nice byproduct where some provinces get some dev and construction discount. And there we go, the Burgundian succession has just happened, and because I was royal married and allied to Burgundy, I did have high prestige, and because I'm the emperor as well, they have chosen me. And most likely in your game, they will choose you as well, if you're even focusing on this. If not, honestly, you could just Alt F4 whenever it happens and pray that next time they choose you. This is not something that's necessary for the guide. This is just a nice bonus that you may get in your game as well. By this point, of course, you should have Poland and Hungary for sure, and Lithuania and Burgundy are just nice bonuses. Right now, at this point in the game, I'm constructing some buildings, doing some dev, chilling, waiting for aggressive expansion to die down before we focus on taking this mission right here and then subjugating Brandenburg. Of course, when you do get the Burgundian succession, you should vote for one of the 3 options that it gives you, and you should choose to keep your union over Burgundy. I just forgot to mention it, but that's what I chose. Keep our union with Burgundy. For your tier 4 government reform, if you're focusing heavily on the HRE and passing the reforms and dealing with the Protestant Reformation, then you should of course take lands for the church so we gain even better relations with the Pope and more bonuses from the papal points. If not, however, if that's not your thing, or if you went Hussite, you should maintain the balance of power. I'm gonna go for lands for the church. Once a little bit of time has passed, after you PU'd Hungary and aggressive expansion in the HRE has died down a little bit, it is time for you to take this mission right here, humiliate Austria, which will give you a subjugation CB on Brandenburg for 10 years. And there we go, we've taken that mission and we have that CB on them. Now, depending on how big or how small Brandenburg is in your campaign, this war or the aftermath from it will be easier or harder. Basically, the bigger Brandenburg is, the more AE you're gonna get from subjugating them, or you might not even be able to subjugate them. Either way, we will try and shrink down Brandenburg a little bit, along with the fact that we'll subjugate them. So, simply go ahead and declare on Brandenburg. They shouldn't have any strong allies at this point, and go ahead and fight them. And now I've defeated Brandenburg without even moving a muscle myself. And when you do beat up Brandenburg, of course, you are going to want to go ahead and subjugate them. But as we can see, that is quite a lot of aggressive expansion, and the HRE guys will get angry. So we do want to minimize this aggressive expansion somehow, and we'll be doing that in various ways. Maybe you can give back Uckermark to Stettin right here. You can make them release Rupen in this one province right here, and if they've taken over any other provinces, you can go ahead and do that as well. But now, by vassalizing them, it is about 8 aggressive expansion less than previously, which of course every little number matters. So once you dismantle Brandenburg a little bit, you can go ahead and vassalize them. This will be quite a lot of AE, but it shouldn't really be a problem. Remember, we don't really care about Brandenburg's territory right here. What we really care in this war is subjugating them so we can have another elector under our control. And speaking of electors, it seems that one of them has been full annexed by someone, and it seems that in my game right here, the Palatinate has stopped existing. And of course, you are going to want to have 7 electors at all time. So if an elector at any point in your game disappears as well, make sure to grant an electorate to someone. Ideally, you'd ally them first and then give them an electorate, so they vote for you and stuff like that. And ideally, it would be a small nation that isn't really too powerful. So I wouldn't give the electorship to Austria, even though we've been allied. I'm just gonna ally some of these miners right here and then give them the electorship. That's what you should do as well. But either way, now that the war with Brandenburg is done, we are gonna chill a little bit before retaking these 2 provinces right here that we made Brandenburg release and giving them back to Brandenburg, because we will want that to complete this mission right here. In my game right here, I've allied Liège and given them the electorship. No particular reason other than the fact that they're just small and not German, because if they're German, they're more likely to convert to Protestantism. Now that I've built a castle for one of my subjects right here, and I've gotten the free company, I can take the mission Protect against the Turks, which gives us a permaclaim on Bulgaria and Silistria, these 2 areas right here, along with a claim, a regular one, on every province in Carpathia and the Balkans owned by the Ottomans, which are pretty much all provinces right now, but only these right here are permaclaims. And during this point, where aggressive expansion is pretty high over in the HRE and in our portion of Europe right here, we can shift our expansion focus to somewhere else as well. And you guessed it, that is going to be the Ottomans, especially right now in my case, because they are busy fighting the Mamluks. They do have an unusually large number of allies, which does happen when they don't expand too much, but still, with all of these guys on our side, our junior partners, our subjects, and Austria helping me out as well, it is going to be no problem for us taking down the Ottomans right now, which is pretty much almost at the peak of their power. So, while you're chilling with this, after you've PU'd these guys, after you've subjugated Brandenburg, and after you've probably taken this mission right here, you are good to go ahead and declare on the Ottomans for the conquest of, for example, this province right here. In this first war versus the Ottomans, we are going to be focusing on getting a few provinces over here and a few down here to make them release Bulgaria and Byzantium so we can reconquer their cores, and then everything else we take from them might be over here in this region where neither of those 2 nations have cores, or we can just take money and war reps. So right now, if you're feeling ready, it is a good time to declare on them. And there we go. You should still try and avoid battles with them unless you have a massive numerical advantage though. They will still beat you one-on-one, most likely. In this war, I am bombing forts to help speed things up. I did bomb this one as well, which usually doesn't exist, but the Ottomans seem to have built it. And once you have around 80-ish% war score in your first war versus the Ottomans, it is time to peace out. And like I said, we're going to be taking some provinces to release Bulgaria and Byzantium from. In my case, I'm going to take these 3 provinces right here. Bulgaria is going to pop out of here, and Byzantium is going to pop out of here. And like I said, after you take only 1 to 3 provinces to pop these 2 nations out from, you can take some other provinces that aren't Bulgaria's or Byzantium's cores. So I'm just gonna take these provinces right here. Another gold mine, our third one. That's awesome. And that's pretty much sort of what you should do in your first war versus the Ottomans. I'm also gonna take war reps and as much money as I can. And that's your first war with the Ottomans done. This was around 60-ish aggressive expansion as you saw, but this is the first Muslim nation that we fought, so no one is really mad except for the Ottomans. And now that this war is done, you can go ahead and release Byzantium. They'll pop out of these 2 provinces, or whichever provinces you took, and of course release Bulgaria as well. And there we go. In our next war versus the Ottomans, we can reconquer these provinces that are Byzantium's cores. Funnily enough, Constantinople is still their core, and these provinces which are Bulgaria's cores. Basically, we can get a huge portion of the Balkans in our next war. After you beat the Ottomans up, it's time to go back home and chill and get ready to subjugate Saxony. After you've gotten these 2 vassals, you can go ahead and give the nobility strong duchies. At this point, I have a lot of spare cash, and I've already built workshops in all my high-value trade good provinces, so at this point, I am going to start building them in my subjects as well. This is of course going to make them richer, but later, we're going to get this land anyway, so why not preemptively build stuff for us? And there we go. I'm just building workshops in all the high-value trade good provinces that any of my subjects own, the vassals and the junior partners as well. Sure, we don't directly benefit from our junior partners right now, but later, when we annex them, of course we will. At this point in the game, I can pass my second reform. You should be passing your second and your third one as well. If you're heavily focusing on this, of course, you might be at your 4th one already, and it also depends on how many reforms Austria has passed before you took the emperorship from them. But there we go, there's Institute Reichsregiment. At this point, I will be constructing my second army the same as this one, 24-4-7 at this point in the game, because we do have a massive force limit and we can sustain it monetarily. And by around the 1500s, your realm should look a little something like this. Basically, we started off as Bohemia, and we waited to get our initial ruler and our truce with Hungary to expire, and our first war was to take the area of Slovakia right here, preemptively to accomplish this mission right here. After that, after we integrated our subjects, we got the missions to PU Poland and potentially Lithuania and Hungary as well. And of course, you should have PU'd Poland first. Maybe you got Lithuania, maybe you didn't. And after that, we waited for AE to die down, PU'd Hungary as well, and after that, moved on with subjugating Brandenburg, subjugating Saxony, and fighting the Ottomans for the first time in order to release Bulgaria and Byzantium so we can reconquer their cores. Of course, during this time, you shouldn't have only been PUing and subjugating guys and fighting the Ottomans. You may have also gotten the Burgundian inheritance if you were lucky, which realistically you should have. You could, of course, Alt F4 to get it if you don't get it first try. And of course, you should have been developing your nation, developing the gold mine in Cheb up to 10 production, developing the gold mine over here to 10 production, developing this province over here to 20 total development in order to accomplish some of the development missions right here. And of course, you should have been constructing a ton of buildings. I have a bunch of marketplaces in all my center of trade provinces, a bunch of production buildings in not only my own but also my subjects provinces, a couple of churches here and there, some manpower buildings here and there. You already know the drill. And of course, I've been using all my excess monarch points to do some deving in various provinces. By this point, of course, if you went Catholic, you should be the HRE Emperor as well. Like I said, the main goal of this is to just take advantage of the stuff we get from being Emperor, like the extremely high manpower, the extremely high force limit, and some additional income. But of course, if you want to, you can focus on passing imperial reforms. Bohemia is a pretty good nation to do that with, like I said, due to our starting tradition right here, and also due to the monument that we start off in Prague, the historical center of Prague, which starts off at tier 2. You could, of course, upgrade it to tier 3. Of course, if you went Hussite, you did everything exactly the same, except for becoming the HRE Emperor, which you can't if you're Hussite. And of course, if you did go Hussite, you could flip to Protestant if you want to, once the Protestant Reformation spawns. Like I said, by this point, you should be the #1 great power in the world. You should have Poland and Hungary and Brandenburg as your subjects for sure, along with Bulgaria and Byzantium. And if you were lucky, you may have Lithuania and Burgundy. And if you were faster than me, of course, you do have Saxony. You would get the mission to subjugate them after getting getting Brandenburg's provinces back that we popped out in order to not get so much aggressive expansion, then you'll do this mission right here. And some nice events happen like the fate of Brandenburg and the fate of Saxony, where actually you can flip these guys to junior partners instead of vassals, so you don't get this malice right here of an elector being subjugated. And that's not the only downside. Some of these guys may not vote for you because you do have an elector subjugated. So what I recommend is flipping both Brandenburg and Saxony to junior partners through these events right here. And of course, by taking some various decisions, you could take the electorate from them if they're your junior partners. After this point, you're going to continue to expand in the same directions we've already been expanding in, and you're going to continue to follow down your mission tree. You will want to get this province right here so you can accomplish this mission down here. It does give us some nice bonuses. You will want to fight Austria as well to take provinces from them and subjugate Saxony, and you will want to continue to push into the Ottomans and take the entirety of the Balkans from them, and maybe even expand into Anatolia. You can push in this direction over here, take down Muscovy, and pretty much the region you should focus on in the early-ish game, probably the first 100 years, is this region right here. And after that, you can pretty much do whatever you want, but definitely go ahead and keep hitting the Ottomans once you're done with this. And of course, if you're focusing heavily on the HRE gameplay, you're gonna want to take down the Reformation once it spawns and do all the regular HRE reform passing stuff, which I've explained more in detail in my Austria guide that released a couple of weeks ago. By this point, I am making 24 ducats a month, which is pretty good. A lot of it is from gold. I do have 3 gold mines right now. I've gotten this one as well. You may have this one or you may not have it. Of course, later you might take Intal from Austria as well. Have 4 gold mines in total, lots of income from gold. Dev all of them up to 10. The rest of my income is from taxation and production, not a lot from trade, because we do control mostly inland trade nodes, and we ourselves aren't that big. And of course, junior partners don't really give us money. I have 2 armies right now, 35k both of them. 24 for 7 is the setup right now. That's good according to our combat width for this point in the game. We start off with diplomatic ideas. If you're going heavily for the HRE gameplay, like I said, take religious for your second one. Since I'm not, I took economic, and that's what I recommend that you would do as well. So diplo, economic, or religious. After that, you can go with influence. That will be good to keep your subjects in hold and annex them more quickly later on in the game. If you're not that interested in that, you could go for trade to increase your income and stuff like that. So diplo, economic, or religious, and then influence and trade, and then the rest are up to you. You could go for some mill ones to buff up your army, and even admin if you're expanding a whole lot and you need that gov cap. This is what we took for our first 4 government reforms. For tier 5, I recommend taking meritocratic recruitment. For tier 6, I recommend taking royal decree or general estates. For tier 7, you should embrace the economic theory or empower the burghers. For tier 8, you should take this one right here or Leviathan. For tier 9, all of them are good. You're not gonna make a mistake with any of them. Choose whichever one you want at that point in the game. And for tier 10, it's the same as tier 9. All of them are really good. Choose whichever one you need based on what you're doing at that point in time. And like I said, by around the 1500s, your realm should look a little something like this. Let me know in the comments below what's the next nation that I should do a guide on. If you want to watch me do stuff like this live, you can follow me on twitch.tv/TheRedHawkLive. And if you want to catch up on stuff from over there, you can subscribe to the second channel. Link is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to leave a like. It really helps out a lot. And if you like the content and want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of it. And you can become a member today and join the Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time with another EU4 video.